The Meeples and Miniatures Podcast is sponsored by Two Fat Lardies, Firestorm Games, and by the generous donations of you, the listener. We really appreciate all your support. Thank you very much. The Meeples and Miniatures Podcast, episode 260. Happy 100. With hosts Neil Shuck and Mike Hobbs, and guest Guy Bowers. This show was recorded on the 23rd of January, 2019. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Meeples and Miniatures Podcast. It is I, the Brummy Dwarf, and I am joined once again on this show by my compatriot in arms. It is, of course, the Welsh wizard himself, Mr. Michael Hobbs. Hello, sir. How are you?
Hello, Neil. Hello, Meeps. Hello, everybody. I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm well. How is frozen Wales? I mean, I saw the photo from your window. How you were snowed in.
We are completely snowed in. Yeah, we're cut off from the world. I've tried to get out and do some panic buying and failed completely. But luckily, the postman did make it here.
Ah, excellent stuff.
So.
Yes, obviously, in giving the photos away of your garden, you also something I didn't spot when I was last at your place. I didn't spot the life-size statue that you have of yourself in the garden.
Yes, no, it's been there for a while. He moves around, he hides, he sneaks around. Next time you stay, you might find him underneath your pillow.
It's the Welsh wizard version of the horse's head, is it?
Yeah.
Excellent stuff. And how is the newest member of the family?
She's great. Yeah, we're having a great time with the little cat. She's not destroying things or getting everywhere and covering me in claw bites at all. No, she's lovely. Very cute. Anybody want a kitten? Anybody.
I have no sympathy whatsoever. You brought it on yourself.
We've got 3 large male cats and they're terrified of her.
Excellent stuff. Right, and we have, as joining us for our third guest this evening, because I understand he's celebrating his 100th birthday. It is, that's what I was told by Angus anyway.
Okay, I'll have to kill him.
It is somebody who was last on the show so long ago I couldn't even find the reference to when he was on, but it is that well-known, everyone's favourite magazine editor. It is, of course, Mr. Guy Bowers. How are you, sir?
Thank you very much. And the check's in the post.
Are you well?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. Despite colds and the weather, yeah. I'm pretty good. Just very busy finishing off the next issue of WSS. As my boss likes to remind me, deadlines. So, yeah, it's all fun. Thank you.
For those people who may not have bumped into yourself, Guy, which is
there's very few people left, I think.
I was going to say which if you've attended any war game show in the UK over the past number of years, you'll have found it incredibly difficult not to bump into Guy, as he's absolutely everywhere. But Guy,
right.
would you mind giving a brief introduction to yourself, your hobby, and just what you do with your hobby time and what you get up to?
Oh, crikey. Okay, that's quite a big one. Well, I am the editor of Wargames, Soldiers and Strategy magazine. I have now been for, crikey, 50 issues as we celebrate our 100th issue, which is quite funny because last year I turned 50. So that's I suppose interesting. Yeah, we're going to talk more about the magazine later. So
Right.
yeah, let's talk about my favourite subject, which is me. No,
Yes.
no, yeah. Well, basically, yeah, I've been a gamer for crikey, almost forever, really. I remember picking up a book called An Introduction to War Games by John Sandars, and this would have been when I was about 10. I remember it was cheap in W.H. Smith's in Newton Abbot.
Mhm.
Yeah, that introduced me to the strange and mysterious and wonderful world of collecting models and painting models. And so I started off painting up Airfix kits, along with anything else I could find in 1/72nd scale. I then discovered D&D when I was 13. I'm a big role player as well. I've been listening avidly about your Call of Cthulhu stuff in previous episodes. Basically, I've been a wargamer pretty much since the age of 10. One big tragedy, when I moved house when I was 18, my dad threw out my entire collection of 1/72nd scale stuff, which is a complete disaster, one which I don't think I've ever recovered from.
No, I can understand that, mate. I mean, you could buy it all again multiple times, but harsh one, mate.
Yeah, well, I'm slowly trying to rebuild it in 28mm now.
Yeah.
But that's probably something I'll talk about later when we talk about the hobby. So yeah, I mean, basically, I got involved in the hobby and somehow I ended up writing stuff for the hobby, and then lo and behold, I ended up the editor of a magazine. That's the quick version.
Mm-hmm. So, okay, what's your favourite period?
Oh, that's a hard question, Neil.
That is such a hard question.
Yeah.
It's
what day is
easier
it?
to say. It's easier to say what my non-favorite period is, because unfortunately I am a complete war games butterfly.
Another
I
one.
have
Excellent.
Biblicals. I have ancients. I've got an ancient Greek army. I've got Romans in 3 different flavors: Republican, Imperial, and of course late Roman.
Are they all in the same scale?
Yeah, all in 28mm, yes.
Well, I mean, that's something. That's something. I mean, at least the scale is consistent.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, I do have 15s as well. I just gravitated towards 28s. Well, mainly through Warhammer Ancient Battles. That's how I saw there was a time when I used to do DBA. I used to be quite a big DBA player.
Oh, okay.
And then along came this strange thing, which I discovered at the Devisers and District show. I think it was in 2000. And there's this strange rule book there, which was like, it's Warhammer, which personally I detested after my nice Battalion army got eaten by a dark elf mage on dragon. And it was just like the same rules, but they'd got rid of that bloody magic. And I thought, what a great idea. And it's like, instead of having all that, basically, because at that point, the magic in Warhammer Fantasy was a little bit over the top.
Oh, yes.
So,
what was that?
Yeah,
what was that? That was about 5th edition, wasn't it?
Yeah, 5th edition, yes. So, so effectively, I started playing the game with my friend Paul Howden and others. Sadly, Paul's now been dead 11 years, but I still miss him. And yeah, we basically started joining in in the scene and everything else, and everything sort of like went from there, really. Slightly distracted. So getting back on, then we go into Dark Age armies and Normans. I've also got some Vikings, a few Saxons, which I need to polish off. Yeah, so I've got a lot, basically. The one period which I haven't got anything for is the 7 Years' War.
Okay.
Pretty much I've got little bits and pieces for pretty much everything else. World War II, again, I've got a lot of armies. Yeah, again, all 28s, Germans, Russians, British, a few American, I need to work on that. And some French and Polish, which I also need to finish off at some point. So yes, I'm basically the the paragon of a wargames butterfly.
Excellent. And dare I ask you the other question you shouldn't ask on either? Do you have a particular favourite rule set?
That also is very hard because, well, you see, the thing is there's ones which I tend to gravitate to. I am, as part of the magazine, I like to be involved in the Let's Plays. So basically, every issue we have a new rule set come in, which we then play through.
Yeah.
So I do see a lot of rule sets. So, funnily enough, sometimes I don't actually get much time for gaming for myself, if that makes any sense.
Yes, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I must admit, I'm a definite fanboy for Black Powder. World War II, I have played a bit of Chain of Command. There's a lot of bolt action played at the local clubs, so I do tend to gravitate towards that. Yeah. More out of the case of that's the players which are available. Oh, yeah. I should say also for Napoleonics and also for AWI, I use Sharp Practice too. Yeah, and for Ancients, I'm still really looking around for a WAB successor. I haven't played WAB in a number of years. I suppose Sword Point has come the closest. Yeah. But again, it's down to time and players. And currently, I don't have any ancient or medieval players locally. So while I occasionally get in, I had an ancient game. It's generally I don't have the time, which is a bit sad because I have figures in boxes which need to come out and they need to be played with. Really.
Well, yeah, because they only go off if you don't play them.
Yeah, exactly. Oh no, I do tell a lie. I recently played a game of Lion Rampant. So yeah.
That's good. So, you play a bit of Gates of Antares as well, didn't you?
Oh yeah, indeed. And of course, I was lucky enough to also play Phantares, which is now, of course, Warlords of Erewhon. So yeah.
Oh yes, the new one, isn't it?
Yes, the new one. Yes. Well, I was lucky enough to actually play it with the Meister himself. All hail Rick Priestley. He's a great guy. So yeah, I haven't seen the rules, so I don't know what changes have been made because I played them about it would have been about a year ago now. So I am quite keen to get myself a copy of that and see what it's like. Ooh. So yeah, and yeah, I do like Antares. I mean, I basically, again, for my sins, used to be a big 40k player, and then after, so I think it was the 4th edition, it kind of like the rules just got a bit. They've changed everything again. Half my stuff is useless. Oh right, and I just sort of gave up on it. And Antares has really brought me back to actually enjoying playing science fiction again. I do try 40k. I have gone back and I've actually tried the latest edition. A friend of mine, Sam, kindly let me dust out my old guard army, and he promised he was going to bring along a force which was going to be perfectly balanced and would perfectly match and wasn't tailored to killing guard. So he turns up with his salamanders with flamethrowers. And I'm going, that was a quick game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
And you watched your entire army burn.
Yeah.
Well, it literally came down to, I got a friend of mine called Mike, when playing this one player said, look, shall I just roll dice for how many figures I take off a turn? It really was that bad. Oh, it was like just seeing the army slowly evaporate was just, just not enjoyable, really.
No.
So, yeah, I do enjoy Antares, and I'm sorry, but, I'm not a 40k player anymore. Yeah, that got beaten out of me. But, there we are.
Yeah, I tried 8th edition when it came out. I quite enjoyed it, but I think you've got to be careful against who you play. It's the typical thing with 40k.
Very true. True of anything, but yeah, particularly in 40k.
Yeah. I played a game. The guy bought an old squat army which he used as Imperial Guard, and that was just great fun.
Yeah,
because it's just it was a fun couple of hours rolling dice and having fun, and then on the next table, they played it completely differently and just didn't enjoy it. So it's always player first, I think, with 40k.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, and also I find it's interesting because you play a lot of systems. My local guys will see me playing bolt action, and they did actually experiment at one point in trying to use the bolt action mechanisms for activation for 40k. So that was interesting. They actually made it to work and work pretty well.
Yeah,
not enough to get me playing, but that's another matter. Yeah.
That would work quite well, actually. Yeah, the randomization you need in there.
Absolutely.
There we go. 10 minutes in and we fixed 40k. Yeah.
Well, that'll be the 9th or 10th edition, probably.
Yeah.
But there we go.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny that on some games, the alternate turn or the dreaded I go, you go works fairly well, like, dare I say, Black Powder. Yeah, again, flying my Black Powder flag there. And on other games, it just doesn't. So,
Yeah, but the thing is with Black Powder, because you've got that mechanism of activating sort of divisions or mass units.
Yeah.
And it's a single dice roll where they're going to do anything. It still has that sort of feel of you're not moving everything, are you? You're not. I'm just going to move everything. I'm going to fire everything. I'm going to do some close combat. You've still got that little bit of friction, and it's based on War Master, which was a great little set of rules.
Yeah, it was indeed. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I've played Black Powder. And I quite enjoyed it, but you got to have a big table.
Well, funny enough, yes, there is a game which I'm involved with where they're planning to have a really big table.
Yes, we shall chat about that in a bit. That's going to be episode, isn't it?
Yeah, Professor Tony Pollard. It's his crazy idea. And yeah, so that's going to be an entire hall in Glasgow University, recreating Waterloo with, well, we don't have the exact figure count yet, but there will be, I believe, 22,000 figures on the table.
In 28 mil.
In 28 mil, yes.
22,000.
Yeah.
22,000.
Grief.
I met Simon, who was playing the Union Brigade at the Grog Meet. So he was really looking forward to painting up 92 cavalry.
Yeah, it does involve a lot of stuff. Yeah. So that will be the closest date we could get to the anniversary. So that'll be the 15th and 16th of June in the Kelvin Hall at Glasgow University. So that should be quite something. And of course, it's all for a charity, for the charity Waterloo Uncovered.
Oh,
so
excellent.
yes, so we're doing some excellent archaeological work. Basically, yeah, we were fortunate enough to be invited out by Waterloo Uncovered. Went out there. This is from myself and the South East Scotland Wargamers, based in Edinburgh, where we refought the battle around Hougoumont at Hougoumont.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that is one of the. I think it's going to be, when I have that last final flashback before I go to the great beyond, that's going to be one of the highlights of my life, I think. Actually being at Hougoumont, playing Hougoumont. Yeah. Because they had members of the general public coming around and also joining in the game. So yeah, that was really cool. Really cool. So yeah, for some bizarre reason, I get invited to all sorts of strange things and all sorts of strange projects, and I just sometimes go, oh well, what the hell.
Yeah.
So, Right, yeah, so I'm back on topic then. Where were we?
We're somewhere in the middle of the podcast, don't worry. We just crack on with this sort of stuff.
Oh, right, okay.
It's fine. It's fine. No worries. These things happen. It's got a bar for the course on this one. Yeah. Right. Okay. So, I was going to ask another question, but that was about that was about 10 minutes ago. So, so I'm sure we'll come back to that later. So, for those people who didn't know Guy, obviously you know him a little bit better now. So welcome to the show, and what we'll do, we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, it's time to confess those little things that may have slipped into our shopping baskets, both physically and virtually in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, this actually involves me having to confess buying stuff on air. This is a bad thing.
Yeah, welcome to my world, Guy.
Indeed.
There are no secrets.
We'll be back in a couple of seconds. The Meeples and Miniatures podcast is very proud to be sponsored by the multi-award-winning Two Fat Lardies. In the recent Wargames Illustrated Awards, they were recognised no less than 3 times. Best Game of 2018, Chain of Command. Best New Game of 2018, Water Tanker. And were also recognised for their level of customer service. This award means that Chain of Command has actually won Best Game for 2 years running. And to celebrate this, Two Fat Lardies are running an award-winning sale on their website, with copies of the rules for Chain of Command, Sharp Practice, Water Tanker and Dux Britanniarum all reduced. So, if you have just the rules themselves, or perhaps a bundle including campaign books or scenario expansions, check out the Two Fat Lardies website at twofatlardies.co.uk. And whilst you're there, why not pick up a copy of the Lard 2018 magazine, a publication packed with scenarios, campaigns, articles, interviews and reports. And then don't forget to check out Lard Island News, where Rich has posted a series of articles about creating your own jungle terrain. Award-winning rules, inspiring blog posts, and great spare time reading. You can find it all on the Two Fat Lardies website, twofatlardies.co.uk. Play the period, not the rules. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here once again, thankfully out of the sight of the great Guru. So, and besides, what are we worried about? He doesn't listen to the show anyway, I'm sure he doesn't. So we can confess anything we like and Dave won't know.
Yeah, but my girlfriend will. My dearest darling Emma will.
Yeah. Don't.
Yes.
Okay, look. Just listen to this on our headphones. You'll be fine. It'll be fine. No one will ever know. So,
no one needs to know.
So it's that part of the show where where not only we confess what we've been up to in our buying habits, but also talk about something that kind of that might kind of that bright and shiny thing that may have caught our eye and has distracted us. So well, since he figuratively popped his 2019 cherry this week, I think we need first and foremost to come to Mr. Hobbs, as you were doing so well, or so poorly, as some people would say.
I was, I do this all the time, don't I? I sort of say beginning of January, I'm not going to buy any figures for a while. And, last year I managed 4 days. This year... Confess! Yeah. This year...
Otherwise it's the comfy chair.
Yeah, yes. I got to 18 days without buying any figures. Oh, I did, however, buy a complete collection of Outtro and Cthulhu books from Modiphius, because they had a sale on.
Nice.
Yeah, it was, I think it's 9 of their role-playing books for Outtro and Cthulhu for 50 quid, plus all the PDFs.
Yeah, that's
which
a
was
bargain.
That was a bargain. Yeah. Still available, I believe.
Yeah, the only downside is that they just haven't got the player's book available anymore. Although you do get the PDF version of it.
Yeah, the investigator's book, so that's a shame. But, so I got that. I did pick up the Warhammer Fantasy Role-Playing 4th edition book by Cubicle 7, which is glorious. That's a beautiful book.
It continues your slippery slide into even more RPGs.
Yeah. This is definitely I want to get more RPGs in. No.
Big Cthulhu fan myself, actually. So
Well, I've got the 7th edition Call of Cthulhu, which again is beautiful, guys. If you haven't looked at it.
I have. We're playing it last night, actually.
Oh, excellent! Yeah, they've just released the starter set as well, which is really good value for just starting off a little scenario. So so that's the role play stuff.
Mm.
did back a Kickstarter that you put me onto, Mr. Shuck, which is the War of the Worlds, the new Wave game.
Oh yes, that was going to be in my bright and shiny section. But yes, it was. That looks interesting, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Guy, are you much of a board gamer?
A little bit. I used to have a good friend of mine called Steve. I used to play quite a few board games with. So I can't say if I've played anything. Oh no. The last game I played would have been a semi-board game, Mice and Mystics.
Ah, yes.
Yeah. And I also occasionally when we have too few players turning up to do role play properly, we occasionally break out a board game. So it could be Betrayal at House on the Hill, or Dead of Winter, or Mysterium, or something similar.
Yeah, cool.
And then finally, I did. As you say, I crumbled after 18 days, and I bought some figures. So
confess.
What happened was I made that fatal mistake, and Guy, you must have been here as well. When
on occasion, yes.
When you go and use an old army, and you open up the box, and you look at the army, you think, "Oh, that's a lovely army," but it's missing a few bits. You know, it's not a complete army, if such a thing exists. So somehow I managed to pick up from Plastic Soldier Company via Firestorm Games some 15mm British 6-pounders, Universal Carrier section, British Heavy Weapons section, and the German Pack 40, just to round up the armies that I've already got.
15s or 20s?
They're 15s. They were my later war 15 army, which I use for Battle Group, and a little bit for Iron Beam Shotman.
All right, so you found yourself slightly deficient in anti-tank guns.
I was very deficient in support weapons, anti-tank guns, and carriers.
Right. The 50mm Bren gun carrier box is stupendous. I mean, you can get.
It's very good.
Is it 6? You can make 6, and there's like 9 different variants. Something like that.
Oh God, yeah. It's amazing. And lots of spare little bits, which are quite useful at the end.
Oh yeah.
Yes. So there's lots of bits there. So I'm going to look forward to putting those together. So yeah, that's my confessional.
Cool. Okay. How about yourself, Guy? Have you been buying anything since Christmas?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I've got to confess too.
This isn't just a one-way street, mate. It's just...
Oh no.
Yeah, I know.
And by the way, if Guy's girlfriend is listening, you might want to leave the room at this point.
Well, that's okay. I'll probably have to do her something nice, take her out for a meal, you know.
Yeah.
That she doesn't leave, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So yes, okay. So confessions. I have been doing quite a lot of basically playing Cool Seas. Part of this was as a playtest for the magazine. So we had a Let's Play in the written by Dave Davis in the current issue, WSS 100.
Mm-hmm.
I really like the game. Actually, funny enough, we took it to 3 different clubs, and everybody liked the game. My one club, the Wednesday night club, the South Devon Games Club, aka Beer and Bullets, they liked it so much that everybody's buying fleets for it, which is quite surprising because I've been trying to. How are we for swearing? Can I say bar stewards? These bar stewards, which are 40k players in and in, I could not persuade them to consider World War II. I think I got one German to dabble in Romans at one point, but they're die-hard 40k players. Wouldn't touch anything historical with a 10-foot barge pole. Along comes Cruel Seas. They're all going, "Oh, this looks good," and yes, all of a sudden, rules and box sets galore. In fact, one gentleman, Brent, he was looking. He bought a Fletcher-class destroyer, and was telling me that our local game shop apparently has one of the German battleships. I think it's the Tirpitz, and he said, "That one's mine, guy. Don't you touch it." And what you'd use the Tirpitz for? Seriously, what you'd use the Tirpitz for? In 6mm, yeah. What you'd use the Tirpitz for, apart from target practice in a game like Cool Seas, which is designed for small boats, not large boats, I have no idea. But, you know.
Have you told him? It was like, hey, we'll be playing in here. You'll get your turpits. You go to the to the other end of the village.
Yeah.
Oh dear, yes, that's right. We need to be firing from the other end of the board while we're still busy sinking each other. So, yeah. So effectively, everybody had already sort of divided up the factions. So the Brits had gone, the Germans had gone, Japanese. I went to a friend of mine called Ian, another guy, Alex. He'd gone for the US, and Brent, I think, is collecting everything. And there's me going, I need a faction to play. Yeah, because I'd like to sort of join in too. And the only one which was really left, I'm not too sure if we had an Italian player, mind you. And I decided to go for the Russians.
Well, that could be quite interesting because
Yeah.
Didn't they have a lot of riverboats as well?
Yes, yeah. The Project 1124 and 1125. The Broncators. Yeah, they're actually pretty sweet in the rules, but I wasn't really going for them for that reason. So yes, I've got basically my confession is that I bought a fleet pack from Warlord. I also bought some bits and pieces from Heroics and Ross, including some of their 6mm artillery crew figures to also put on the boats.
Oh, excellent!
And also, yeah, and of course, Warlord don't currently do a BMO sub chaser, so I basically got the Heroics and Ross one because it was nice enough. And so yeah, so I'm cobbling together a Russian fleet, and the final bit of my confession is. And it just arrived today. I have in my hands a Soviet Pravda class submarine. So I've actually got a World War II Russian submarine. You guessed it, in 1/350 scale.
Excellent.
And I'm also told they quite reliably that Trumpeter are going to have a Tashkent Russian destroyer out this year too. So I think that's enough madness for one podcast. So
and
it's all
say
up
that,
and that's less than 4 weeks into January. There we go.
Yeah.
Excellent stuff.
Yeah, I'm doing really well. Really well.
Yeah, Cruel Seas is definitely on my way. I've got the game. I had it for Christmas, and I painted up a couple of ships which I got from WI.
Yeah.
So they're painted. So yeah, it's on my.
That's okay. I'm not going to burst into flames if you say that word.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't normally buy. I only bought it for the ships.
Oh dear. No worries.
But
Dan and I
game
are
looks quite fun.
good friends, so we're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's a very fun game. It's really relatively simple. I mean, if people are looking for sort of like really difficult charts or firing 18-inch shells or what have you at 26-mile range or what have you, this is not the game for you. But if you just fancy sort of like rushing around and just having fun, I think it's very much a scenario driven game rather than just a sort of like two sides turn up and have a fight. We found that basically because as the stuff you get in the box, the Schnell boots are far superior to the Vospers. Mm-hmm. However, as soon as you put a scenario in there, and you've either got Schnell boots attacking, say, a convoy with, say, a flower class and some dog boats defending them, or dare I say, the roles are reversed, and you've got Vospers attacking a German convoy, then yeah, the whole mechanic of the game changes quite significantly. And yeah, we are having a lot of fun with it. And as I said, it's sparked in what is, hardcore 40k players, a sudden desire to start building a whole pile of ships. It really is insane.
Excellent stuff.
In a good way. Yeah.
Great stuff. Cool. Right. For my own part, yeah, I was
going to say, one last confession.
One last confession, yes. For my own part, it's been a relatively quiet couple of weeks. Although, yeah, I did crack and buy a couple of board games. I wasn't. They were kind of on this like, okay, it'd be nice to have, but the Dungeons and Dragons board games that were done. And I was very kindly sent a copy of Ravenloft last year.
Nice.
Which was very nice. They're interesting games. I kind of put them on my back burner. Well, I don't know how it happened, but I was on Amazon and they were in my they were kind of in my I had quite a few things kind of sat in my shopping cart, kind of save for later. And you suddenly get these alerts to say price has changed, and suddenly spotted that somebody had both of these games for £30 each. Now, the normal retail price is somewhere between £45 and £50. So it was like, so two of them for £30 each. And it was like, it would almost be rude not to.
Yes.
So I got Wrath of Oxshardlern and The Legend of Drizzt, both board games. And of course, the thing is with that is that you're not just buying the board game, but because they're miniatures games, you've got 40 odd miniatures in each game. Which okay, I mean they're slightly bendy plastic, as with most board games, but decent enough. And they have nice little selections of D&D monsters, decent enough that you can potentially use them for other things. Ooh. So it was not only were you buying a game, you were getting 40 odd models in each game, plus the fact you're getting a whole set of dungeon tiles.
Oh,
bargain.
Okay.
So there we go.
Yeah, that's beginning to sell me on the idea. This is bad. I am now going to have to hide my wallet.
Yeah, indeed. So I picked up a couple of those because it was a bargain, and then. For the theme, actually, I finally cracked yesterday. We've been chatting about our spring schedule. As part of that chatting, we've been talking to various people, and one of those people being a certain Mr. Joseph McCullough. And yes, you know what I'm going to say. Yesterday I bought Rangers of Shadowkeep and the Blood Moon expansion, and also I think it's called Blinding Light expansion. Basically, I bought all of what is currently available for Rangers of Shadowkeep, which is his new game that I think originally came out in November, I think it was.
Yes.
And
very nice too. Very nice.
Yes, it's if you haven't heard of it, it's based on the Frostgrave mechanisms, but it's a solo or co-op game. And I looked at it, I thought, I'll just have a look.
Research purposes.
As you do. Yeah, research purposes. Yeah. So that's all. Yeah, so that's all currently set on my Kindle. And it's like, oh, very nice. So yeah, but that. Oh, and yes, having said that, I wouldn't back it. I wouldn't be backing any Kickstarters. And I know last month I was talking about, or last show I was talking about how All or Nothing were chipping away at me, my resolve, and I said, I wouldn't back a Kickstarter, and then almost immediately, a couple of days after recording the last show, I was foolishly looking at one of my existing Kickstarters, saying, chasing up something other, and you know how when you sign into Kickstarter, you get this recommended for you popping up. Yeah, and there's this game pops up, and it's like, ooh, what's this? And it's the one that Mr. Hobbs, funny enough, ended up backing as well, which is the War of the Worlds: The New Wave, which is it's an asymmetric card game, except it comes with a board. And it's set. It's War of the Worlds: The Second Invasion.
So was a second invasion, isn't it?
It's a second invasion. No, I did ask Mike. I did kind of comment to Mike that, hang on a second, haven't you got some 15mm figures for this? But I didn't go too far down that route because I imagine it's still a bit of a sore subject.
It's an open room deal.
I can imagine. Yes, do you remember that system, Mr. Barris?
Yes, I do indeed. Yes.
Yes.
In fact, I have quite a few the machines painted up from it. Funny enough, I've only ever used them in 28mm for Her Majesty's name, not as intended in 15mm. But there
That's a
you go.
good idea.
Yeah.
Well, it's a very good idea, actually.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I'm probably also going to use them in a role play setting as well soon. So.
Anyway, so that's a good idea. So yes, War of the Worlds: The New Wave, which is currently doing very well on Kickstarter. In this one, apparently, the story is the aliens invade Scotland, and then attempt to take over the rest of the UK from Scotland. An interesting looking little game. So Succumbed. And actually, remarkably reasonable was the other thing. Is that they turned around and said, okay, right, well, this is what we're doing. Okay, we've got a few stretch goals and stuff, but it's what is it, Mike? About $50 if you don't have the neoprene mat. Something like that, isn't it?
Yeah, it's about that. It's not too bad at all.
No, so it looks interesting. That's about it. Although, yes, having bought Rangers of Shadowkeep, last couple of days I've been looking at a lot of other things. So the next confession could be, painful. Yes.
I
Okay.
just remembered
Go on.
as well.
Oh yeah.
I had a Kickstarter up,
Did you?
which was the Over the Hills scenario book.
Oh, cool.
So that's arrived. So yes, I haven't had a good chance to look through it, but I had a little flick through. It looks very nice. Lots of scenarios for the Peninsular War, which is always good. So yes, let's get Over the Hills back on the table soon.
Yes, not set rules, that isn't it?
Very, very nice.
Cool. Right. So, is anything other than what we've confessed? Is there anything kind of nice and shiny distracting you or attracting your attention at the moment, or you trying desperately not to buy?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
All right, this is why I've got to confess. Okay, so let me go first. Okay. I recently did a blog on Cool Seas.
Yes.
And I was doing a bit of research, and it turns out that my great uncle, his name was Lieutenant Commander Geoffrey Hodges. He wrote a book of Minds and Men, which is apparently one of the dullest autobiographies you can actually read about the Second World War, but I haven't yet got a hold of a copy, so I can't tell. I jokingly said, well, yes, if anybody does HMS Abdiel, which was a fast mine layer in the Royal Navy, then I'd love to get a copy. And of course, there's a company which does a HMS Abdiel. The trouble is, of course, here you go. You've got to sort of sit down for the next bit.
Okay.
Yes, it's only £114.95.
What scale?
Oh, this is the correct scale, 1 to 350 scale. Yes.
It'd be very impressive, though, Kai, wouldn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's a lovely looking kit. It's got all the photo etching and everything else. You can build the little whales, which of course are going to last 5 minutes in any sort of decent game. It would be a lovely model, and also would be nice to do just for a bit of sort of family history.
Yeah, a lovely project.
Yeah, it would be a lovely project. Yeah. It's just I'm just sort of going to myself, no. I need to clear some of the backlog of my existing stuff, get my existing bits and pieces painted. I'll come on to a bit more of that later about what I'm doing. So no, I mean, while I would love to, it's kind of like I don't really want to spend 115 quid on something which is going to sit in a box, and I want to have the time, if I'm going to do it properly. So right now, it's just one of those things where I've got to go, no, not now, and not maybe ever.
It'd be nice for you. Sorry, mate. As I say, it'd be nice as a nice retirement thing. You know,
I'm not planning on retiring. I don't think I'm allowed to retire anyway, because I think Jasper would go skits on me.
Yeah. Oh no, you have to plan ahead at least 15 years.
Ah, yes. Yeah, well, funny enough, I have a friend of mine who's currently painting up, I think, every single regiment in the American War of Independence. So when he retires, he can play every single action with the right regiments.
Oh, God.
Oh, my word.
Yes. Yeah, well, I got doff my hat. That's great planning. Great planning.
Eddie's fantastic planning.
Yep. Yeah, so there you go. That's my wannabes, but it's not to be. A man's got to know his limitations, and 115 quid on something that's going to stay in a box probably for 15 years is a limitation.
Yeah,
indeed.
Yeah. Amen.
How about you, Mr. Hobbs? Anything else? Anything else attracting your attention at the moment?
No, not really. I do have a fair bit of backlog.
Yes.
In my painting collection, so my leg collection. There is part of me that thinks maybe I should get a third 20mm World War II army to go with the two I got.
Good.
There
have been signs of cracks appearing during some Twitter conversations this week.
Yeah, because I've got the Belgians and Germans, so I could get some Brits just to paint a slightly different colour brown, or rather just to give to Gareth to paint a slightly different colour brown. I don't know, but that's about it. Really. I'm being good.
It wants to be good. Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Really impressive. Yeah. Well, as I say, for me, the aforementioned. I forgot. There's no. I forgot to mention a purchase, but it also kind of falls under the on the radar. Mortal Gods is now up for pre-order.
Oh, yeah. You taught me to that as well, didn't you? I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Mr. Hobbs Day, yes.
Yes.
Mortal Gods does look good.
Yes.
It does.
I enjoyed their samurai game and the idea of them taking it and just giving it a slight twist. And yes. The whole Peloponnesian War. Brilliant.
Enjoyed it. What they've done so far, and they have been tweaking the rules since. They had an open game day at Balls and Swords Hobbies at the weekend, which unfortunately I didn't manage to get to. But yes, like a lot, like what they've been doing with that a lot. So yeah, ended up pre-ordering that. And other than that, I've been perusing people like I've been looking at a lot of like Frostgrave box sets and miniatures, and looking at things like Otherworld miniatures and stuff for all this Rangers of Shadowkeep stuff. And so, so been doing a lot of. So I suspect, yes, I see a few plastic box sets in my near future. So, but that's about it. Like yourself, Mr. Hobbs, I'm kind of thinking, well, I do actually have a bit of a backlog. The other thing was latest announcements for Star Wars Legion. We're getting a couple of new heavy units for Star Wars Legion, which I don't know. It kind of seems to be a bit of a mismatch between what they've announced. So, like the Imperials, you get the ground tank. You know, the tank that was in Rogue One.
Yeah.
That's going to be the next Imperial unit is that ground tank, and then for the Rebels, I think, oh great, do they get a tank? No, they get effectively Luke's land speeder with a weapon mount.
Okay. So it's a technical.
Yes, it's a yes. And he said, "Oh, but you can have a second weapon mount. What's that?" Well, basically, you can have a guy in the back armed with a missile launcher. So it's
definitely a technical.
It's a definite yes. It is definitely yes. It is definitely the Rebel Alliance version of a technical. Looks interesting. I thought, okay, that was not quite what I was expecting, but it certainly looks interesting. So, in that case, what we'll do, we'll take another break, and when we come back, we'll be chatting about what we've been up to in our hobby-wise, maybe the old game we played, and maybe what we've been building and painting. Hi everyone, Neil here.
I hope you enjoy this episode of the Meeples and Miniatures podcast. If you are, I'm wondering, would you consider becoming a patron of the show? For as little as $1 a month, you can help support us in what we're doing with the show. For that, you can get access to a monthly question and answer show. That will also allow you to ask questions. If you pledge more, you potentially get bonus podcasts. And you never know, you might even get invited to be on the show yourself. If you want to know more details, please follow the link to our Patreon page, which is on the front of the website. That's www.meeplesandminiatures.co.uk. Thanks a lot. Okay, so it's time to chat about what we've been up to hobby-wise. What games have we been playing? Have you painted anything? So,
who's going to start?
Guy, would you like to go first this time?
Okay, yeah, sure.
What have you been up to?
Let me see. Last week, I played a game of bolt action with a guy called Charlie. He suddenly decided that Germans are his thing for World War II, so he had a nice Fallschirmjäger army, all armed to the teeth with elites and Tiger tank and everything else. And I'm going, I've only got Russians, so we had, but my
hang on, Fallschirmjägers with a Tiger tank.
Yeah, Fallschirmjäger. Well, it's bow action, so you don't want to look too closely at the historical. I mean, you can play bow action historically, but yeah. Fallschirmjäger, Tiger tank. He had a Puma which he couldn't afford to bring on, so that all sort of a bit of a mismatch really. And also he borrowed a Nebelwerfer off of me. We had a good fun game, but I basically went for lots of units and lots of dice, and basically I got the initiative when I needed to, and I slowly steamrolled him. We ended up with playing Scenario 5, which is the top secret mission, which is the one where I was laughing because, of course, it didn't matter about my losses. As long as we got the secret plans, then everything was fine. Of course, he has one Fallschirmjäger unit, grabbed the secret plans, and they're racing to the board. And it was just fortunate that I happened to have paid to have an artillery observer, a Russian artillery observer comrade. And they managed to put enough pins to pin the unit down. My Russians caught up with them and said, "Thank you, comrade. We take plans now, yes?" So that was fun.
All right, so basically they died under a human wave.
That is quite accurate. I was beginning to feel bad by the fourth or fifth turn, because I could see that even though he had Fallschirmjäger and he was putting him in all the right places, and they're Fallschirmjäger, they're tough to get rid of. I was slowly whittling him down. I was basically pinning units, which meant, of course, he was having difficulty activating them, which was just enough to make sure that I kept the initiative, and then he was running out of units and running nice. And it's just the way the ball action goes, really. Turn 2, he got a unit there first, he got the plans, and he was laughing. But I just managed to, a bit of luck and a bit of skill, turn it around, and managed to get those blasted plans back again. So that was a fun game. Played a lot of Cool Seas as well. So that's still being popular. Well, as I previously said about my club going crazy for the game. Mm-hmm. Painting wise, I'm painting up some stuff for Cool Seas, and also going back to what I first mentioned about Sandskrieg, I am slowly building up some Africa core using the Warlord plastics and vehicles from Rubicon and Warlord. And also, one truck from Minerons, which I think is the Henschel. Basically, it looks like the one out of the Indiana Jones movie. That's why I went for it.
Oh.
You've got to have one of those. Yeah, complete with Ark of the Covenant in the back.
Yeah.
So, and I've also been painting a few fantasy things. Because we regularly play games like D&D and Call of Cthulhu and what have you. I've been actually getting some of the Frostgrave and the Oathmark stuff and painting them up. So I've had some gnolls on the table, some barbarians, and also some elves and dwarves. So yeah, quite a mixed bag, really.
Yeah, the Oathmark figures are quite nice. I was
Very
quite
nice.
impressed.
Yeah.
Yeah, the goblins especially. I'm not sure about the dwarves. The dwarves are a bit. I don't know. There's something about them, but they do have needs, which is one major advantage. But
Yes.
I think I saw that they're releasing a box set of wizards soon.
Oh yes, for Frostgrave.
For Frostgrave,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah. And I must admit, in defence of the dwarves, I mean, yeah, the dwarves, are pretty nice. But have you seen the command?
Yeah, that command is fantastic.
Exactly. And you know what? I have never painted a dwarf in my life. And when I got those through, I'm thinking, no, you're not going to paint dwarves, guy. No. You never paint dwarves. And then I started painting dwarves. It's madness.
Oh.
Mr. Shuck can tell you all about how to paint dwarves.
But actually, no, I can't because some of my dwarves, a few of my dwarves are painted. Most aren't. But yeah, I must admit, I when it comes to dwarves, I know at some point, probably this year, I'm going to have a massive accident with Atlantis miniatures. Because they are just stunning.
Yeah.
I mean, as I say, I'm not so sure about the Oathmark ones. The goblins are brilliant. Love the goblins. But yeah, not so sure about the plastic dwarves. But as you say, yeah, the character figures are really nice. I'm going for the Conqueror ones because I just like that style, and I'm still kicking myself for not buying the Dark Age dwarves the first time around when they were Vendel. Because I promised myself I was going to get a load of the Vendel range, and then they got sold to the States, and I couldn't afford the postage. And then, of course, the guy who had was it Sergeant Major something? Yeah, I think it was Sergeant Major over in the States. Then went under, and they basically just disappeared. So if anybody knows whatever happened to Vendel miniatures, or the Vendel miniatures stuff, and if they're still around or still available from anywhere, because I loved Vendel miniatures goblins, they were brilliant. But anyway, so I'm slowly getting there. But yeah, Atlantis miniatures dwarves. I'm going to have an accident with them because they are beautiful.
Yeah.
Any other games, Guy?
Any other? Yeah. Well, let me see. Let me start just John. I think now. Well, as I say, I normally play quite a bit of the Black Powder with my friend Mal, but no, I haven't played that in a while actually. So yeah, that's it. It's been mainly lots of Cruel Seas and the odd game of Bought Action. Yeah. So and yeah, roleplay wise, lots of Call of Cthulhu. So yeah, that's been fun too. But unsurprising, yeah.
That is a game. That is a game Call of Cthulhu from a role-playing side of things. I would really like to get into. That's one of the systems I never actually got to play. I don't know. It was people just didn't fancy it during my role-playing games. It was role-playing days. It was all it was all D&D. And associated fantasy stuff, and I really fancy Call of Cthulhu. So I would love to get involved with an actual Call of Cthulhu RPG because it's I just really fancy it.
I'm going to be a little bit controversial here. With I think which I've said on the WSS podcast actually, I do think that a lot of role-playing games are too much orientated around combat.
Yes.
In fact, I would go as far as to say they're basically war games, but by a different batter. I mean, people come along with these characters, and unless you've got a decent character background, you're basically sort of just hollow. It's, hello, I'm going into your dungeon. Oh, look, there's a whole pile of natives here. Let's kill them all off and take their treasure. Yes. And after playing a number of years doing that, I just got sick of it, really. So the current Cthulhu campaign, well, I'm GMing, is actually really good because we've been playing for about 8 weeks now, and they've been slowly uncovering the mysteries. and nobody's died, which is quite amazing, really, for Call of Cthulhu. There's various story arcs, and they're just playing very careful and very sensible. Because the beautiful thing about Call of Cthulhu is this, anything can kill you. You can die from falling down the stairs. And the closest we've got is one German, Jason, who was playing an Irish doctor called William White. Not too sure where he got that from. And he basically uncovered this guy who was trying to murder his family. And it's like, oh, I think we're going to run away now. I see the guy gets his shotgun out. And he must have the luck of the Irish, because one shot and he was down to 0 hit points. The guy aimed a second time, 0. Click. Empty shell. And at that point, the guys are slowly reloading. And thankfully, the other players managed to come along, and they've only got one chance to take this guy out. And there's a guy called Mark who's playing Captain Roberts, a World War I veteran. And manages to take the shot at extreme range, gets a critical, and that was the end of that bad guy rather quickly. So but that's basically been it for action. Everything else has been trying to work out the different plots and riddles.
Yeah. So do you play face to face, or do you use something like Roll20?
Well, I'm lucky enough that I have some regular gamers, although that can be an issue. We've had 1 or 2 people drop out recently. But no, I mean, I've used Roll20 before with my son. But no, generally speaking, we're lucky enough that we basically meet up and have fun.
Yeah, it's good. But I definitely agree with what you say about some games are really, just combat machines. It's been quite nice getting back into RuneQuest, which is really character driven, especially the new version.
Yes, that I need to. I did see it, and I haven't succumbed yet. But I had sort of like an idea about doing some sort of almost sort of Greek myth idea, but using Grantha as a setting. So I am again an old RuneQuest fan. But I mean, currently my players aren't biting because we do things democratically. So I basically tell them about different games, and sometimes they GM, sometimes I GM. It's always nice to get a break. But no, they weren't sold on RuneQuest, which is a bit of a pity. So we're likely to end up playing Castle Falkenstein next.
Oh, okay.
But that's another story.
Excellent
stuff.
Well, Mr. Shuck, what's your 50 games this last 2 weeks?
It has been 2 weeks with basically a theme of having just dissed the fact that most role-playing games and dungeon bashes. I've been playing dungeon bash games the last 2 weeks.
Perfect.
Excellent stuff. Which is to say, is strangely enough probably the better way to play it, if you think about it in that sense. So if you want combat, you dive into a dungeon bash game and you'll get loads. So I played Castle Ravenloft a couple of times. Basically, I introduced that to Josh. He really enjoyed it. So we've been playing that for a couple of weeks. So we breezed introductory scenario, and last week, it's horrible when you get killed by a kobold. Yeah, I mean, in most of the scenarios, you end up facing effectively an end of level boss, because the way the D&D games play, I think the closest equivalent I can think of it is something like it's a bit like playing Gauntlet. So if you remember, because I am a guy of a certain age. So, if you remember playing, if you remember,
Wizard, shot the food.
Indeed, yes. Well, when that game first came out in the arcades, all those years ago, yes. But it is a bit like playing Gauntlet, and you generally have an end of level boss, and the end of level boss happened to be a kobold sorcerer, who killed us, which was most embarrassing, actually. But anyway, decent enough game, lots of fun, roll up, kill some monsters, explore a dungeon, kill some monsters, roll some dice, decent enough. And then, when was it? Oh, Monday. for some reason, we were around at Mr. Hickman's, and for some reason, because there was just the three of us, Mr. Luck couldn't make it, and we were thinking, okay, right, let's play a three. And for some reason, we didn't play Mansions of Madness or Imperial Assault. Let's get a D&D game out. And he got out Temple of Elemental Evil. Now, I don't know if you ever remember playing Temple of Elemental Evil as or if you've ever played it as the module.
Yeah.
The module is renowned to be brutal, I think is the word. The board game, similarly, is it's the same system, but it is a step up in brutality. It is just horrible, and we didn't even get close. It was just like, well, okay, right, if this game is definitely designed to kill you, no two ways about it. Excuse me, decent enough, but yeah, that is Temple of Elemental Evil. D&D game is it's brutal, it's horrible. Anyway, so did that. We had another scenario in our Gloomhaven campaign, which is still going really well. Still enjoying it. Not letting the uniformity of the dungeons get in the way of having a good game. If you take my meaning, basically, I mean, it's a decent game. I just wish the artwork was better. When you see what other people do or other people have done with that style of game, I just really wish that they'd done a better job with, especially the dungeon tiles, because they are a little bit, boring. But the actual...
It's Flagstone's here, what can you do?
Yeah, well, this is it. Oh, but I mean, you look at you look at like an Imperial Assault board, or you look at like the tiles of Mansions of Madness, or I mean, I'm sure it would be the same if you talk about something like Descent, for example. The artwork's really nice, and there's loads of little bits and pieces. Whereas this, it's just like it's either brown or grey, or maybe kind of like bluish flagstones with maybe the odd vine in the corner or something. But game-wise, really good. Enjoying it. Still enjoying it. And, yes. So that's primarily what I've been doing. Dungeon Bashes. Done a couple of, done a couple of little, other little, board games while I've been at it, sort of thing. But, what else? Anything interesting? Oh, that was it. We took Mr. Luzz's very nicely painted gladiators for a spin last week. Blast from the past, as you said as you responded on Twitter. Mr. Luff has decided that he wants to play a few more miniatures games because we've been playing a lot of board games for the last couple of years, and so he's got a fully painted set of the Crusader gladiators.
Nice.
Which are some very nice models. And so we decided to take that out with we played Red Sand Blue Sky Heroes of the Arena, which is something the last time we played that was 4 years ago. So I found it because yes, as people know, I am that sad bunny, and I log all my plays on Board Game Geek and have done for a while. So I went, when was the last time you played this then? And it was like October 2015 or something crazy. But decent enough. And we kind of got, we're thinking, okay, we'll probably end up running a Lannister each, and have a little play at that, because to be honest, we prefer that to Jugular.
Yeah.
As a game system, we always felt that Jugular felt a little bit like playing chess.
Really?
During the actual fighting, slightly. But maybe that was just us. Maybe we were just playing it wrong, I don't know. But it's just seemed that Red Sand Blue Sky always seemed to be, it seemed to have a much more kind of dynamic combat system. Certainly a lot more descriptive in what you were doing. Yeah. And that's kind of why we liked it. maybe I should go and revisit Jugular. And because obviously, I think Jugular comes into its own when you're running a Lanista, or when you're being a Lanista, isn't it? And that's really what we want to do. So, but Red Sand Blue Sky, Blast from the Past, that's 2-hour war games. Because we all had a look at Sons of Mars. Guy, did you ever play Sons of Mars?
Well, I was actually going to say, there's only one Gladiator game for me, so I have seen one or two, and again passed them on to review. My favourite Gladiator game of all time is the Society of Ancients one, Gladiolus, which is one-on-one, but is really clever. It's card-driven, no dice involved, and combat will take about 15-20 minutes at that.
Yeah.
So my recommendation would be for Gladiolus.
Gladiolus.
But there we are. Yes.
I've not heard of that one.
Yeah, worth a try.
Sorry, I was going to say, is that still available?
Yeah, indeed. In fact, funny enough, I was just looking up if it was still available because I didn't want to talk about it and say, "Oh, it's out of print." That's tough. So yeah, Society of Ancients, and they've actually, here we go. They've re-released it. So definitely worth looking at. Definitely worth it, in my opinion.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So the trouble is I've found my sort of niche game for Gladiators because I've one or two of my own painted, and it's kind of like, well, I don't really look at any of the Gladiator games because I'm happy with that one.
Well, this is it.
Yeah. So my sweet spot was Gladiolus. That does it for me.
Ooh.
So, like,
I know Ganesh Games have released one, which again is card driven. His name escapes me off the top of my head at the moment. I know I was looking at that at the start of the week. Because there's just a couple of things with Red Sand Blue Sky which we kind of hit on because we were playing in a 4-way battle, and there's a couple of things that cropped up that we didn't get, that we never hit in a 2-way fight, and it showed up. I suppose it showed a few cracks in the rules, shall we say? Interesting. I should have a little think about that. Cool. So that's what I've been playing. Painting wise, Bloody Normans.
Hey.
I'm still painting Norman Cavalry.
Yeah, but you finished 2 units.
I've finished 2 units. I've almost finished. Except for the basic. I've almost finished the third. I've just got the markings on the horses to do for the third, and then I'm on to the last unit, which I am desperate. Thanks to Ludo this morning for saying, "Oh, you've jinxed it now." I tweeted this morning and saying, "Okay, well, I've got 8 days left to paint my last unit of Normans and then get everything based to say that I've actually finished 32 Norman Cavalry this month, and I've finally got that monkey off my back because, as you know, Guy, since you've been listening to the podcast, these Norman Cavalry have haunted me for 2 years. So if it's a case of I can finally see the back of them, and of course off the back of that, I've actually been looking at thinking, I suppose actually while I'm at it, because I'm now getting the cavalry painted, I've got to then finish a Norman army. So I haven't just got a Norman warband and a Breton warband, but I've actually got an army that I can field for something like To the Strongest, for example. So I've got, I've actually got, once they're done, I've then got to get 3 or 4 more foot units painted, and then that'll be a full Norman army. But at the moment, it's Norman cavalry, and more Norman cavalry. And I must admit, once I finish this, I don't think I'll be wanting to paint a horse for a while.
I'd take a break if I was you. I'd just do your cavalry, and then go paint something different for a little bit, and then come back into the infantry. Otherwise, you might just get in the position where you think, I just can't be arsed doing it.
Yeah, you get burnt out. Absolutely.
Yeah. Have a little change.
Yes. So yeah, cool. But so that's what I've been up to. Loads of games. Loads of games again, which is always good to play loads of games. But yes, hobby streak is continuing. I'm okay. There's a couple of days where I haven't quite managed to get the paintbrush out, but most days I've been getting the paintbrush out, and it makes a huge difference. That this thing of this 30 minutes a day. I know we've talked about it a lot over the years, but it does make a difference. I mean, funny enough, I was chatting to the Anti-Luff himself about it, because he was saying, I can't, can't be asked to get the paints out and get the brushes out and all this sort of thing all the time. I turned around to him and said, well, the problem is, Dave, he says, have you got a painting station? Because he hasn't got, because he hasn't got a dedicated area where he paints, because he does everything on one, we game and we paint on one table. So I said, well, have you got a painting station? Because your problem is that every time you've got and it's the same problem I had. Every time you need to paint, you've got to get everything out and then put everything away.
Yeah.
And I said, have you got a painting station? Get yourself a painting station. So at least it's a case of you just pick the whole thing up, okay, and you've got a dozen models or so, or however many, and basically it's portable. You pick it up, you put it on your table, and at the end you pick it up and you put it on the shelf. And funny enough, it has worked for him. The only thing he has to set up is his light, because he's got. I don't know if it's the same light as the one you've got, but he's certainly got one similar. One of these huge. I don't know. I mean, I think it lights up the entire street, doesn't yours, Mr. Hobbs?
Yeah. I am thinking of turning the study into a tanning salon at the moment. Cool.
But that is certainly this whole try and get 30 minutes in. Has made a huge difference, and that's one reason why I've I'm cracking on doing what I'm doing. And I'm sure once I get these blooming horses finished, I'll when it comes down to, oh crikey, all I need to do is paint foot troops. Oh my word, Hopefully that won't take me off as long, but there we go.
Yeah.
How about you, Mr. Hobbs?
Oh well, I've managed to get some games in. Which has been great fun. Actually, just after the recording of the last podcast, took a trip to the gaming capital of South Wales, of Abergavenny, or Mark's Place, as we like to call it, and we played Nemesis.
Oh yes, the game that I foolishly said, I'll just have it in one shipping.
Oh, that was a mistake, mate. Oh, what a good game! So I don't know if you heard about Nemesis, Guy. It's a board game. Mm-hmm. It's basically this alien on a board game. So the premise is you wake up from cryogenic sleep to find one of the crew members is dead, and everyone's groggy and they can't remember where anything is. And it's a game of you can play it cooperatively. There are aliens involved. There's a spaceship. We didn't play it cooperatively. We played it very uncooperatively.
You shock me.
Yeah. It's essentially, you've got a map of the ship of all of the corridors, and all of the rooms are sort of hexagonal areas, but you don't know what's in each room until you get to it. There's engines that, to actually win the game, you have to get back to Earth. And to do that, you need to have 2 of the 3 engines working, and the pilot has had to get to the bridge to set the coordinates for Earth, killing the aliens, and then get back to sleep.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Which is all nice and easy. But you have these subplots that you're given, and you get given 2 subplots. One of them normally has 2 victory conditions, and you have to do just one of them, and the other one usually has 1. And you start off, but as soon as the first alien arrives, you have to give in one of those objectives, and then you have to go first. So the objective I had was to either kill the alien queen and destroy the ship, was to send a signal and kill the alien queen, or send a signal and destroy the ship. So I went for the latter.
Right, okay. How to win friends and influence people.
Oh, yeah, there was a lot going on. It's a fantastic game of bluff and double bluff, because I was the mechanic. So I was sort of going to the engine bays, and you can, as a mechanic, you can look at the state of the engine and swap the state around and put it back. So I was doing that, and all the rest of the players are going, so is the engine working? Yep, engine's all working. That's all good. No need to look at the engine at all. It's fine. As I walk out, lock all the doors, set fire to the room, and then go do something else. And yeah, it was great fun. Yeah. I managed to get off the ship. Me and Matt from Glenbrook Games, we both had a shared victory. It was funny enough, we both had the same objective, so we were both trying to destroy the ship and get off, and it was great fun.
Excellent
stuff. Yeah, I'm actually gutted that I didn't back that on Kickstarter. The miniatures are lovely, so yeah, I think as soon as I come to retail, I'll be picking that up.
Yeah, I think it's March Wave 2 ship. I think it's March is Wave 2 shipping is due.
Yeah.
And I decided that to do one wave shipping, and I'm so gutted that I did, because as I say, I've seen there's been 2 or 3 people tweeting about it. I know Mervin's been tweeting about it, and so Ralph was tweeting about it, and it was like, a huge mistake. I should have.
Yeah, it was it was an interesting game. It was a fun game, and it was a game where like I say, you can play cooperatively, but what's the fun in that? Anyway,
Okay.
so we did that. We had a huge game of Chain of Command that Mr. Ham and Jam Jeff put on for us. Thank you, Jeff.
Hi, Jeff.
So we had a big 8x6 table, 2 or 3 platoons each. I got absolutely annihilated. Yeah.
Hang on, 2 or 3 platoons. Quirky, that was a big game.
Yeah, it was 6 players. We had a platoon each, plus armor. Big game. But no, the Brits didn't quite make it. The plucky German defence got in our way. Plus the fact that Jeff decided to put an H8 mill right in front of our entry point for our tanks.
Ooh.
Which will that'll slow you down.
Just a bit.
Just a bit, yeah. But great game. Played that on Firestorm. Then we had a game of Battle Group. We did Normandy.
Oh, yeah.
Which is why I looked in my box of 15 mil World War II stuff and realised I needed some more support. We played that, and that was great fun. Played that on the other Jeff's place. Introduced those 2 to it, so that was good. And then yesterday we played Dux Britanniarium. Yum.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Which I've only ever played once. It was a long time ago. And Gunnar on Twitter has been working on a Lord of the Rings variant of Dux Brits, which immediately piqued my interest. As I have a few Lord of the Rings figures painted up.
Just the odd 1 or 2.
Just the odd 1 or 200. So we thought we'd play a basic game just to try out the mechanics again. And Matt was our umpire, and me and Mark played. And once again, I got absolutely annihilated. But a great game. Really, really, yeah, I'm sort of kicking myself that I haven't played it before that much. I only played it once. I should have played it more. Should have given them more of a chance.
Playing the campaign game with the narrative, that really makes it turns it into a game of its own. But even as a one-off, I think it's a nice system, and it's different enough from, say, something like Saga, for example. It's got some really nice mechanics in it.
Yeah, there was a story. We were telling a story, which I love doing in wargaming. The scenario just drove you into a place, and yeah, it all felt right. It felt like a nice sort of little Dark Age skirmish. Yeah, brilliant game. So very enthused to try that with Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
I could just see it working.
I think it will work really well with Lord of the Rings, especially the way the whole game is, say, narrative and scenario driven. I think that would work really well with Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. So was that. Other than that, I haven't done much painting last couple of weeks.
That's unusual for you.
Yeah, I just haven't been in the mood. So I painted a few things up. Did some 6mm Gloranthan stuff, and a few other bits and bobs which are sort of hanging around my paint desk for a while. So I got those cleared off. But what I have done is I got round to basing up my 20mm early war, World War II stuff, which Gareth painted for me last year. There was a platoon of Germans to go with my other platoon, and a load of Belgians. So I think I got about 80 odd Belgians, which is just over a platoon. The Belgian platoons are pretty chunky.
So 80 figures, yes.
Yeah, there's 4 squads of 12, plus a free mortar unit, plus a command unit. Plus I sent him some more support and some anti-tank guns and motorcycles and stuff. So yeah, it was a whole batch. So I've sort of sat down and got those based up. I just got to paint the bases now. So that was fun. Which made me go out and dig out some tanks I had hidden away. So I've got 3 20mm tanks on my painting desk now. And I put together a few more metal kits for some of the Belgian heavy armor, which is a Lloyd carrier with a gun on top of it.
Heavy armor.
Yeah. Play the big tanks, the big caps you see with this Lloyd carrier.
Deary me, and yeah, they've got all sorts of cool stuff like the T13 self-propelled gun.
Yes,
lovely model. I actually saw one of the originals. I was lucky enough to get invited to the Belgian museum. They've got a Belgian army museum in the middle of Brussels. But of course, if you don't know where to look for it, you never find it. There's no signs for it. We were driving around for ages, round and round. It's around here somewhere, and we ended up parking up and having to find it on foot. But yeah, definitely worth a trip if you can find it. Yeah, just saying T30 in the actual flesh was marvelous. Yeah, I like Belgians.
Yeah, that's the thing about the Belgians. So, which is why I'm thinking about doing some Brits as well. Cover 1940, and the early one miniatures are lovely figures. So yeah, that's me really, mate. Lots of basing has been happening.
Okay, so now we've chatted about the hobby, it's time we'll take another break, and when we come back, we'll find out all about how Guy's got to be 100.
Yes.
And once again, we interrupt the show for a report from our South Wales reporter on the latest happening at Firestorm Games. Come in, Michael.
Neil, you join me here as I look upon a vista of calm. It's hard to believe that only a few weeks ago, the Anti-Luff was finally brought to justice after a week-long orgy of purchasing. I understand that the brave souls of Firestorm Games finally overpowered him after distracting him with a turkey sandwich, and have now locked him away in the bowels of the building where he can do no harm.
Oh my word. So was there much damage to the shop?
There was some, but the building is still standing, and over the last week, teams of volunteers have been rebuilding the shop and installing the latest anti-luff defences. This can never happen again.
That is indeed great news. So Mike, do you have anything else to report?
Funny you should ask that, Neil. To celebrate the overthrow of the Anti-Luff, the management of Firestorm have decided to hold a January sale, with some items reduced by 80%.
I'm sorry, did you say 80%?
That's right, Neil. There are savings across 140 different lines, so nearly everyone can find a bargain. And what's more, we have a new offer code that's going to run until the end of February. That adds another 5% off all purchases.
Oh, so what's the new offer code, Mike?
Hang on, Neil. Have to interrupt you there. I've just heard a loud crash from downstairs. Neil, something's happening. The whole building is shaking. Oh, God, something is emerging from the cellar. It's short and it smells of turkey.
Don't worry about that. What's the new offer code, Mike?
Oh, no, it's the anti-love. Some idiot has told him the offer code, Neil, and he's broken loose again. Neil, this might be my last report. I just can't see me getting out of here in one piece. Neil,
Mike! What's the offer code? What's the offer code? Apologies, listener. We appear to have lost the line to our South Wales reporter. What's this? It's a text from Mike. He's got the offer code. What a hero. He's come through for us all. If you visit Firestorm Games, either online at firestormgames.co.uk or in their shop, you can use the code NEWMEEPLE, that's NEWMEEPLE, all lowercase, in order to gain an extra 5% discount on all goods. Remember, Firestorm Games gives free worldwide shipping at over £40. Some exclusions may apply. See website for details. So happy shopping at Firestorm Games. But watch out for the anti-luff. Well, much as it's really interesting to actually find out what's going on with Guy's hobby and the fact that he actually does stuff in the hobby, which is good to hear. Because so many times you hear that when you're working in the hobby, you don't actually get to do your hobby.
That's also true. There is that danger that it can. I suppose I think people have described it to me as it kind of can poison your hobby.
Yeah.
I can't say that some happened to me, at least not yet. So, good news, I think.
Excellent stuff. Yeah. That is good news because, it is. I suppose it is always a danger that you can become perhaps a little jaded. I think is perhaps the best way to put it. But and also be in a situation where you're so busy running around, putting a magazine together, that you don't actually get time to enjoy your own, the hobby for yourself. So it's good to hear that. It's good to hear that you've been, you still managed to do that. That's really good news. So, Wargames, Soldiers and Strategy.
Mm-hmm.
I remember you taking over as editor. I know it was a few years ago now, but I do remember chatting to yourself and Jasper. I think it was your first salute just after you took over as editor, actually.
Not quite correct, but never mind. I was actually an editor for a while when it was ran by WSS Professionalis, but that's another story. I mean, I'll go into all that in due course.
It was a long time ago. I'm old. I don't.
Join the club.
I'm over 50. Brain cells are dying. Yeah. Yes. For those people who may not know as I say, so WSS has just had its 100th edition, and so we thought that's something worth celebrating. Because as we know, not all magazines get to 100, and so it's nice to see WSS still around and still putting out really good content. What we thought we'd do is we'd have a bit of a celebration of WSS, and at the same time find out a few things that you may not normally find out. So first off, if you've never come across Wargames, Soldiers and Strategy before, first off, where on earth have you been? It's obviously one of the younger Wargames magazines. we thought we'd have a section of what's the whole history behind the magazine and how it got to be 100. So, Guy, you want to take us through that a little bit?
Okay, well, there's I suppose two parts of it. There's the history of the magazine itself, and it's also my involvement with the magazine.
Certainly.
So, there was originally a Spanish magazine called Soldados y Estrategia. And effectively, at some point, the editor, Javi Gomez, decided to do an English language version, which then became Wargames, Soldiers and Strategy. That was, I think, September 2003 was the first edition. In fact, bizarrely, in a twist of fate, if you turn to page 4 of that issue, you can actually see a picture of Salute and you can see me. Not I believe in sort of any sort of weird, bizarre, it's just a coincidence. But yeah, I'm on page 4. So effectively, it was then a Spanish run project, and they slowly got involved, and UK, including the Perry twins, who were also in the first issue. And they basically hit an idea of doing themes and just doing something a little bit more different than the magazines were at the time. So I got involved. Firstly, I started off writing for Warhammer Historical and got involved in the games there, all to do with a bizarre. This is probably a story for another podcast, otherwise I'll be here for years. I won a competition and ended up, this was a games day, and ended up having a tour of Games Workshop. And they asked me what game did I want to play. And of course, Warhammer Historical, which I think they were a bit shocked at. They thought I was going to say 40k or something. So I got to meet Rob Broom, who was then running it, and also James Morris, who's now a good friend of mine. And at the time, he was writing the El Cid book. So I didn't realise, but actually he had sent me an email previously because he'd seen me posting on the WAB list about El Cid and stuff, and he was looking for playtesters. So I got involved with the whole cycle then ended up doing a Siege book, Siege and Conquest. And then, thanks to that, the then editor of Wargames, Soldiers and Strategy, John Kersey, got in contact with me and basically said, do you fancy doing some writing? And, basically, prior to that, I'd been a residential care manager and also hostel manager, which, while they're well-paid jobs, they're also incredibly stressful. And so I was basically a bit burnt out, particularly after the last job I'd been in. So I was giving this idea of I know, I'll be a writer, because that's going to work. And somehow, it did. I started writing for John, then started doing more and more for the magazine. John had issues with Revistas Professionales, and so the then head editor, David Gomez, asked me to take over. And so I did, I think it was 3 issues under their management. But it soon became clear what the problem was with the magazine. Revistas basically weren't paying their contributors. And I had one contributor who is actually quite was quite well known. A guy called Alan Curtis, who I'm sure a number of people will know because he used to be quite vociferous on various forums. Bless Alan. I mean, sadly, he's now passed away a few years ago. But yeah, he was quite the man, and there's nothing you could ask him which he didn't know, particularly about anything to do with Republican Rome and the Punic Wars, and also anything modern, because of course a lot of people didn't know about his background, because he actually served as an advisor for the Fort Irwin, where they have the OPFOR, the Americans have a Soviet army, which is basically made up of vehicles which they've either captured, bought, or have made out of their old vehicles. So they've taken sort of M113s and sort of turned them into replicas of Soviet weaponry. So as far as anything modern was concerned, he actually dealt with the real thing, so he knew everything backwards. So he had written for the magazine, and as it happens at the time, his wife was dying of cancer.
Yeah.
And of course, being US based, basically they'd run out of money. They only had the basic care. So I felt really bad about this because, you know, he'd written for the magazine for me. And so I turned around to Revistas and said, you really need to start paying people. And if you do pay people, there is one person you really, really, really have to pay. So I explained to them the situation, and I explained to them that they couldn't carry on like this. And all they had to do to carry on the magazine was to pay one person. And that one person was Alan. Mm-hmm. And they didn't. And instead they said, oh, well, we're going to put the magazine on hiatus. So what happened was, as they continued on with the Spanish version and basically dropped the English version, because I had to make a stand, and I don't regret doing that. The funny thing is, after the announcement, literally the day later, I got this strange email from this guy called Jasper Orthaus. And it's like, the email basically said, do you think the Spanish are willing to sell the magazine? And it's like, well, I can only ask. So, cutting our long story short, I'm not going into too much of the detail. Meetings were had, and I think it was the World Cup final where, funny enough, it was Holland versus Spain, where Spain won, and a deal was struck, and and so the new owners, Caronsere, took over the magazine, and that's how I met Jasper, who is the editor of Ancient Warfare magazine. Do check it out; it's an excellent magazine. And also Christy. And what they brought to the magazine was professional.
Yeah.
It was a certain quality. My boss, Jasper, is a stickler for quality. And at times, I'll be honest, he does drive me crazy. But but again, to be honest, I provide the content, but they make the content look really pretty. And, and also, that things have changed around. The magazine went from, oh, crikey, only a few thousand. And, we now print over 10,000 per issue. So, the magazine's gone from strength to strength. Currently, we're still bi-monthly. But, so we did have a little bit of hiatus. So from 2009 until Salute 2010, there was no WSS. But yeah, that was issue 54 we came back at, and we're now at issue 100. So it's been really good.
I mean, WSS is, I think over the last few years, it really has become the sort of premier gaming magazine, because
we wouldn't want to claim that. We never have any fancy titles or anything else on our front covers, because I don't think, that's for the reader to decide, not for us to decide.
Yeah, I mean, from my personal point of view, it's the magazine, and I'm terrible because I'll take out subscriptions for magazines. I've had subscriptions for Ancient Warfare as well, and that's a fantastic magazine. But I sort of let them drop, and then I think, I must get that, must resubscribe for that one. And then I completely forget for about half a year, and I think, why am I not reading this again? So, I'm a terrible person for magazines, so I've literally just taken out the new subscription for WSS on the digital version. So I'm looking forward now to get it. I've taken a recurring one as well.
Oh, bless you. Thank you.
Yeah, so I can't forget now, because it's just
that's good.
Yeah. The thing I like about it is the themes, because even if there's a theme that you don't like, you're going to learn something.
Wow. Yeah, you're getting really into the nitty-gritty of what I try and bring to the magazine. Yeah. Very, very briefly, we had quite a few meetings, Jasper and I, in 2009 through to 2010, and we really wanted to decide what was missing in the market. Effectively, I think it's best summed up by my friend Steve Jones, who said, I want a magazine about war games. So a war games magazine about war games. Now, this may seem to be sort of like a bit sort of silly and a strange sort of phrase. But I try with every issue to make sure you get your bit of history, which hopefully will teach you something. Like, for example, I love to play with crazy topics. Like our Russian Napoleonic issue had no French in it. Because I just like the idea. You know, everybody thinks Russians versus French, and that's all the Russians did. Rubbish. Read your history. There's plenty of battles out there. And also, likewise, with the Napoleonic British issue. What do? Completely ignore the 100 Days campaign and completely ignore the Peninsula campaign. And again, showed what the British did outside of those theatres. Yeah, it's quite fun being editor because you get to play with all sorts of different subjects. And yeah, I like to try and just introduce different ideas, break down stereotypes, and getting people thinking a little bit more out of the box.
Yeah, because it does encourage you to sort of look at, especially with historical stuff. Like I say, it's when you start looking at the campaign. I mean, that's why I love the War of 1812. You know, because it's British and Indians versus Americans. It's great. And small battles, and nobody knows about it. And you know,
one for a future issue. I'm definitely sure that is on in our sites.
Oh, good. I can recommend a very good campaign book that the Two Fat Lardies do.
Oh, funnily enough, I am familiar with that base. Same campaign book.
Very, very good, very well researched. But no, I just, yeah, it's one of the things I like about WSS is there's regular articles, but it's theme, and it gives you a chance to get into a new era or just something new to read about. Even if you only read a couple of the articles in that theme, you're learning something new, and it's good. So.
Well, I think the trick is the old magazine used to focus too much on the theme, while the new magazine, what we try and do is we try and provide, okay, you're never going to keep everybody happy, but I think our secret is the theme is only ever a third of the magazine. So you have 2/3, which is strong content and nothing to do with the theme whatsoever.
So, as an editor, and you're working for Jasper, who...
Well, I'm self-employed because I also work for other people as well, but
okay.
Yes. Yeah.
So, on the chain of command, should we say. We got Jasper at the top, and we got you as the editor. So, what is your sort of role in the magazine? Because I've tried to ask Henry this, and he just says everything. And I make
write the theme tune, sing the theme tune.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, basically, yeah. I mean, Jasper does occasionally give me some advice, inverted brackets. But yeah, for the vast majority of the time, basically, I decide, well, generally speaking, okay, we look at a magazine, generally I'll have a chat with Jasper and other wargaming friends I know, get an idea of, you know, what we haven't covered. Of course, we have to look at the margin. So unfortunately, my plans to do the Grand Chaco War for a theme aren't going to be anytime soon. So we do stick to, well, basically tried and tested subjects. You're guaranteed we're going to do one Napoleonic a year, and you're also guaranteed we're going to do one World War II a year. And we'll, you know, churn things around a bit. But yeah, basically I plan out the magazine, you know, the theme and non-theme. I try and get the non-theme to balance out against the theme. So yes, I pretty much write the theme tune, sing the theme tune with pretty much most of it. I will say our great strength is our contributors, because of course without them we'd be nothing. Although I do like to make sure that people write what I want to see in the magazine, not what they would like to see in the magazine. So there is a fair bit of editing in WSS, and there are occasions where I've had articles put in and they just don't really sort of fit the format. I like my stuff to be quite snappy. So you typically find it's very rare we go over 4 pages for any one article, because I find, again, it's my own personal opinion that, you know, if you have something which runs on for, say, 2 or 3 issues, or is like 8, 10, 12 pages, particularly if it's a lot of history, and then you have a little tiny bit of gaming tacked on the end, that's just, it's just a no. You know, we are a War Games magazine about wargaming. If you want to read up about a particular part of history, let us point you towards an Osprey, or let us point you to, a decent book. It's not, we're quite different from, say, for example, Ancient Warfare. I like to push people in the right direction, and then they can do their own bit. So we'll cover, a bit of history, to give people a good idea of that particular period and how, again, we think it should be played. But yeah, it's got to be down to the gaming. It's got to be down to the gaming. Otherwise, what are we there for? So yeah, very, very strong on that. I am very strong. And also, another confession, I'm not really keen on battle reports. Unless it's a really decent battle report, why do I want to hear about people playing a game, which I wasn't able to take part in or invited to? Likewise with show reports. I prefer to do my show reports live. So there's a chance that somebody seeing it, say, on Facebook, can then say, oh, I didn't realise that was on today. Oh, I'll pop down and see it. Rather than, say, reading it in a magazine, say, 3-4 months later, when, you've definitely missed your opportunity. So, yeah, I'm also very strict on the content. There's just some things we just won't entertain, I mean, we have our individual sections. So if, somebody's got an opinion, we have the irregular for that. And yes, there are certain challenges because, of course, because we have to prepare everything in advance, we're not quite going to keep up with the new releases of this, that, and the next thing. So I try instead to point out stuff which people will miss. So, for example, with, Facebook and the internet, you are going to know about the latest releases of this, that, and the next thing. But yeah, there's going to be stuff which people miss, and so that's what I tend to concentrate on. Just so there is always something new when you open the magazine.
This might be a daft question because I haven't. I've missed quite a few issues, but with the themes, do you just concentrate on history, or do you have themes which cover sort of well-known fantasy settings that could be used in wargaming, or well-known sci-fi settings that could be used in gaming as well?
The answer is once a year, I'm allowed to do a bit of a play about. So we have covered, for example, monsters. And also we recently covered, basically the whole weird World War II setting. Yeah. And I do have plans to also do a Pulp/Cthulhu issue. So amongst others, I mean, it's something we're dabbling with because, I mean, again, our main, because we do our Great Wargames Survey, we have a good idea of what our readership is interested in, and also what our non-readership is interested in, because there are quite a few people who still haven't discovered the joys of the one true light. Oh dear me, that was pretentious. Sorry. And that's also useful for our feedback. So we like to keep our readers happy, and our readers are generally historical people. Although, like a lot of us, they also dabble in fantasy. So yeah, I do like to have the occasional bit of fantasy in the magazine. Or I'm always keen to point out that, say one particular scenario, well, that could be quite easily adapted to, say, a fantasy setting.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I am currently constricted because, of course, we only have so many pages of the magazine. And also we are currently still bi-monthly. That's both a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing for me because as I have to do the majority of getting the content ready to then pass on to Survey, it means I've got suitable time to actually go through articles, send them back to the author, say, well, have you thought of this? Because again, you find people who will put in articles and it's like, well, how long is this battle supposed to take? Where's the map which tells me where my units are supposed to go? It's quite surprising how simple basic elements get missed out of some articles. So I'm very keen for the articles to meet certain criteria. Although I'm not going to say there's any sort of particular formula, because if you get too formulaic, that would also show in the magazine. So yes, what can I say? I'm having fun.
That's the main thing.
Excellent. So okay. So that's that's kind of like the magazine side of things. But as you kind of hinted at, you have very much branched out into other areas of media, other than just the printed word. So you are active with blogs, with Facebook, and also with the odd podcast or two.
And there's also YouTube.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Christie's painting.
Christie's massively detailed painting guides.
Oh yeah, she's incredible. She is. Sadly, yeah, she hasn't had a lot of time recently to do any more. But I do sincerely hope that she returns because they're inspirational for me too. Because I always get stuck on colours, and I'm going, what colour am I supposed to paint this? And I go, I'm sure Christie's done something on this, so I'll quickly look up and watch through and go, that's what I need. And then pop down the shops and buy some more paints.
Because it always turns out that you don't quite have the right paint, and it's like, and you just, I'm sorry, I can't be asked to mix it.
Very true. Yes.
Life is too short. I mean, I know people will be up in arms at this comment, but life is too short to mix different shades of paint, and be consistent. Especially, I mean, it's fine if you're just mixing one colour for one figure. If you've got a unit to paint, getting that mix consistent every single time. Buy a pot of paint. It's only going to cost you a couple of quid.
Exactly. So, podcast.
Yes. How did all that come about then?
Well, Jasper and Angus do podcasts together with the Ancient Warfare.
Yes, because they did Ancient Warfare. Yes.
Yeah, and Jasper for a while has been looking at basically different ways to kind of like I suppose the right word is spread the love. So he always liked the idea of doing a podcast, but he could and also we could chat about our hobby. Basically, I thought it was a bit of a crazy idea because I had no idea. I'm used to talking to people, but I don't know. It's just like, I don't like leaving answer machine messages because I don't like talking to machines. So I was kind of like, I'm not too sure about all this, but now I've actually gone into it a fair bit. I must say I'm really enjoying it. It really is. And also, thank you, gentlemen, for inviting me on because I'm really enjoying this too. It really is a chance for me to sort of like, I suppose, offload.
Chat.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's very much literally. It's like I do every show when I am chat with punters and also with traders.
Yeah, the thing I do like about the podcast and is it feels like a magazine podcast. I'm not sure who put that idea together of just having the short, sharp little interviews. It's something that we could never do. Is it, Neil? Yeah, I mean, we can do a 10-minute interview with somebody. No, we want at least 2 hours.
Believe me, we have tried. We have thought, okay, let's make it short and snappy. I mean, the amount of times we've had conversations where we've gone, okay, let's make this short and snappy. I think the shortest and snappiest we've made something is about, 45 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, crikey. Yeah.
Well, we're not very good at that.
Yeah, that is by design. Particularly, that's what Jasper envisaged. Was it being, like a sort of like a miniature magazine. And Angus then, of course, added in the additional sound effects and stuff, which, again, just add that little bit extra. And so it is very much designed to be bop, bop, bop.
Yeah.
Each individual section, get it out there. And basically, enough to keep people's interest. And hopefully, it is something, again, I get a lot of feedback with, which people are enjoying. And, it's nice to give something back to the hobby, apart from, doing the magazine.
Yeah, and you got the nice full voices on there, because you got Mark now taking more of a role on the podcast, I think.
Yes, definitely.
That's worked really well, I think.
Yeah, in fact, you're going to have to get him on Meeples. But anytime you do a 2 mil special, then get Mr. Backhouse on board, Mark Backhouse, definitely.
Oh, well, we might be talking about 2 mil on the next episode. I mean, are we allowed to mention this now?
Go on then.
Yeah,
spoil away, Mr. Hobbs.
But the thing is, we've invited another celebrity to join us.
Mr. Roundwood, I believe.
We have got his lordship, Sydney,
coming
on the next show, and he did say quite categorically, it's just him. It's all about him. So, but I think,
me, yeah.
So, I think, let's be honest. I mean, Sid's a lovely person, you know,
He is, yes.
but you know, he doesn't know much about the intricacies of 2-mil gaming. So I think we'll get an overview, and when we want to get into the real detail of why it actually works, we're going to have to get Mark on.
I think you are. Yeah, I think you are.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
hang on a second. Are you this is going to go out before Sir Sydney is going to be on the next show? Are you sure he's not going to cancel?
Oh no, he'll be fine.
Yeah.
He's a lovely chap.
Yeah. Sid knows this will be a joke.
Yeah.
In fact, I'll warn him.
Yeah, so basically we've been having fun with it. It did start off with basically myself, Angus and Jasper, and I was very keen to also have Marcus. I know Mark's again, he's a great idea. He's a very great ideas man. So yeah, he had to really be part of the team, and I think it just makes a very good balance. Yeah, so yeah, well we're enjoying it, and I think our only regret is we're not doing more of them. So we are I think managing just about once a month. But trouble is, we get busy with our own various projects, and actually having a time where all of us can come together and actually just do a simple recording like this one. It's actually quite challenging.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they are surprisingly time consuming, aren't they?
Indeed. But yeah, always good fun. And it's always nice to, explore themes. And, yes, I do tend to, open my mouth a bit too much.
It's great.
Well, shoot from the hip, really.
Yeah.
So there we go.
It's either you or Angus. It's funny. I still can't give Angus a turn around and saying that Elric was rubbish.
Oh, well, yeah, he has no idea.
No.
Got a great Michael Moorcock fan myself, so yeah. Proof on that.
Yeah. I mean, as soon as he said that, I thought, well, that's it.
I'm sorry. That did cause me to rage quit the podcast. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Always caused me to rage quit the podcast. How dare he?
Yes. I mean, and he was so close to getting an invite to come on here, but no, it's gone now.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Damn right. Yeah, you stick to your guns.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we're having fun with it, and yeah, we plan to do quite a few more. And so yeah, kudos to you both for lighting the torch and showing us the way.
It's Neil. I'm just hanging off his coattails.
Well, in that case, thank you, Neil.
He's being far too modest, but I'll take the thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay. I'm quite happy to take the credit. It'll be fine.
Yeah. No, you're great. So any future plans for WSS at the moment? Anything else you're sort of bubbling away with?
Well, I think there's a couple of things. Basically, we always look at every issue and see how we can improve. I mean, we've been slowly improving the magazine and sort of trying out ideas and seeing how some work. We are very keen on feedback, which is why I always put my email address in the front of every issue. And we also send out forms to our readers to basically get their feedback, get an idea what they'd like to see and what have you. So that has worked dividends to the magazine. There's always room for improvement, and I always, it's kind of one of those things. I'm a bit of Jasper's perfectionism is rubbing off on me. So, no issue is 100% perfect. So we're always trying to improve things. Everybody keeps asking me, when are we going to go monthly? And we're going to see how things go. I think we've got to sort out a few things. The current state of the country, for example. There's a few hurdles, because Jasper will tell me off. So yeah, once that's out of the way, then yeah, we're always looking at new avenues to improve the magazine. And yeah, we are also looking at the themes to see if we can expand them a bit wider. I'd love to do more science fiction and fantasy themes. Although then, of course, we'd have to make sure we balance out the content of the rest of the magazine so we didn't alienate some part of our readers. I'd also like to try different themes, maybe like a terrain theme. Or we're definitely in need of doing an air theme and a naval theme. Although, again, it's getting it right. So, we've got lots of ideas we're playing with. And yeah, so there's still a lot of work in progress. We certainly haven't got to sort of like perfection yet. The thing which has really improved the magazine has been the readers' feedback. So I will say, if anybody does have any comments or critique, then please, editor at wssmagazine.com is where you can find me. And please send your ideas or your criticisms. I will say regarding criticism, decent criticism is worth its weight in gold. Occasionally I've had people say, I don't like it. And that tells me nothing. No. If somebody says to me, I don't like it because, that's worth its weight in gold.
Yeah, it's constructive. It gives you criticism. Yeah.
So talking about feedback.
Feedback, yes, sure. Yeah. Oh, example. As you know, for each of our issues, we have a front cover painted by a famous painter in the hobby. And we used to go with these lovely vignette pieces. But one gentleman said, well, yeah, sure, they're all very nice, but what have they got to do with what have they to do with wargaming? And I was quite sort of dumbstruck. And he pointed out to me that unless you can actually remove the figures from the diorama, then they're only basically display pieces, and they're not wargames pieces. So pretty much every single issue since then, because actually it's also convenient for us. If we want to transport one of our front cover pieces, it's much easier if you can take the individual figures out and, individually wrap them. But yeah, ever since then, we've made sure that our front covers are actually wargaming figures, not just pretty dioramas. So that's one example of really useful feedback, pointing out something which we hadn't even contemplated.
Yeah, I didn't even consider that. Yeah,
exactly. This is what the beautiful thing is. People point out sometimes the most elementary things which you just don't think of. It's like when you write and design a game. There's always going to be something you miss because, nobody is ever superhuman. And so, yeah, it's typically enough. You get the game out in the real world, then somebody says, oh, have you thought of this? And the answer is no. Otherwise, it would have been in there. That's the truth of the matter. So, you're going to say Great Wargaming Survey?
Yeah, feedback. Great Wargaming Survey, indeed. Something which... how long's that been going now? 4 years?
Crikey. I think it's been going... Well, this will be, I think, our fifth year.
Fifth year.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think ever since 2016. Of course, Jasper's now going to send me a rude email and saying, what do you mean it was 2015, you idiot? Yeah, I do love my boss, by the way. So, yeah, that's been very useful. Well, you see, what we wanted was a survey which was objective, not subjective. We don't really worry or care where you get your figures from. And I also think that such a survey would be a bit, I don't know. I just don't like the idea. We're more interested in what eras you play and what scale figures you use and what sort of rules you like, because that then helps us. We also publish the results, so it's not something we just keep to ourselves. So it helps us in working out what's popular and what will be good for the magazine, which is why your Grand Chaco War issue is probably never ever going to happen, because you take the percentage of people who play the Grand Chaco War, 2%, possibly 1%, and you take the amount of people who say play Napoleonics, which would be quite a large percentage, or dare I say science fiction and fantasy, which are always very popular in our poll. Then yeah, that becomes very useful data for us. So yeah, it helps with planning, and also we like to share it with the hobby as a whole. So there's nothing precious about it. Oh. And yeah, it's been a really useful experience.
Actually, you're getting about 10,000 replies on average now, aren't you?
Yeah, I think the one before last we got 10,000. I think we got slightly less last time. That may be to do with the way that Facebook has changed. It's some software.
Yeah.
So we didn't quite have the same reach, even though we pretty much tried everything we did before. But even then, I think we still got, again, Jasper will correct me on this, 7,500, 8,000. So it's still a decent slice.
Mm.
And the good thing is, as well, is about half the people who are responding aren't necessarily readers of the magazine. So again, we can see what is popular with magazine readers and what is popular with it's a sample of the general public.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't want to go too far with extrapolating too much, but the data is still useful. It can also be broken down into, say, for example, UK hobbyists and US hobbyists, for example. So so it's been a useful exercise, and again, as we make the data public, hopefully it's also useful for example, for manufacturers. I mean, it's a well-known, tried and tested thing that if you produce French Napoleonics or, dare I say, World War II Germans, they sell. And that would be also put out in our survey data.
Yes, indeed. So we can't really sort of let you go without discussing your other little role as a rules writer with Black Ops.
Ah, yes. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you mentioned that because it's something which I don't cover in the magazine because, basically because I see the role as an editor to edit the magazine, not to promote my own stuff. Yeah. So I've never written anything for WSS out on principle, which probably is a bit stupid for me personally, but that's just the rule I have. So if other people happen to write something which is good for Black Ops, then I'll have it in the magazine. But otherwise, no, it has to be two separate things. So, what do you want to know about Black Ops then?
Well, just give the listener a brief overview because we've never really covered it. So,
funnily enough, I think I reviewed it for Miniature Wargames magazine back in the day when it first came out. Yeah. But that's about it. So if people are not aware, it was published by Osprey. Osprey Publishing, so it's in their Wargames line of titles. First off, and this is something that has come to light. We're discussing with other people with regard to Osprey titles. Mm-hmm. Did you have to leave much out?
Yes. Unfortunately, we have to fit into the 64-page
This
format.
is it. Yes. Yeah. This is what we find. It's that so many people kind of went, the problem we had is that we got it, but we had to fit it into 64 pages, and it was like, and that became a bit of a problem. So, yeah. First off, what is Black Ops?
Well, I'll give you a very brief history. In 2012, we did a game at Salute, which was based on Tenchu Stealth Assassin. So you basically had ninjas running around doing various missions and various guards. Now, I developed the mechanisms, or part of the mechanisms, because, again, a long story when I was writing for Warhammer Historical before it closed, I was writing a project called V for Victory, which was effectively the Legends of the Old West system, but for commando raids.
Oh, cool.
So, sadly, that never saw the light of day. I've still got the manuscript somewhere, and I think maybe, that's future plans, so I'll discuss that later. So, cut long story short, I had these ideas about basically just going away from the standard war game. The idea being that effectively one player is, effectively dormant with his troops moving fairly randomly around, and the other player then having to sneak in to meet an objective. At some point, there is going to be an alarm raised, and at that point, it reverts back to being an ordinary war game. Mm. So, and the trick is for the attacker is they need to find out where their objective is, get in there, and do the objective before the defender gets too many reinforcements. Because every turn, just to, inch up the pressure very slightly, the defender gets so many points, and when those points reach a certain level, they can bring on a unit. Or they can wait a while longer and then bring on something big, like, for example, a tank. And so, yeah, I was very keen to actually have a game which was quite different to what was played before. So you could, for example, play it as a standard, modern game. Or you had this whole sneaking around, waiting for the guard to walk past, sneaking through, checking out the buildings to see which building had the objective in. And also there was basically random missions. So one day you might be trying to rescue the scientist's daughter who's been taken over by the evil terrorists. The other time you were trying to blow up a bridge to deny it to the enemy. So there's also a random scenario generator in Black Ops. In fact, we shoved quite a lot in to one rule set, really. I've had really good feedback regarding Black Ops. Despite the fact it didn't get much in the way of promotion, it's still a good seller now. And at one point, back when there was only 10 games from Osprey, then it was, I think, their third best seller.
Mm-hmm.
I know that Inimagi's name was, top of the list, with Lion Rampant then second. But yeah, Black Ops was third, which I was pretty pleased about, I must say. I do occasionally go back and play Black Ops, and I am currently looking at some ideas about doing either a different game using similar mechanisms. I just like the idea of moving away from the traditional war game. Again, more scenario-driven play.
Yeah.
I have a number of ideas there, including going back to World War II, which was V for Victory. Or other ideas. I know some people have used it for French Indian War stuff, for example. And then again, of course, there was the original Ninja game which I had, which was great fun. Of course, at the time, because basically what happened was I had an interview. We did an interview with Osprey, and of course at that time they just released Ronin. So the last thing they were looking for was a Ninja game, which is when, of course, which is when, of course, I said, well, this could be used for anything, like, for example, ultra modern warfare. And at that point, they said, do a book. So I did. So I'm pretty proud of Black Ops. There was a few mistakes in the printing, so they screwed up the vehicle rules, which was annoying. And yeah, it is a subject I want to return to, and hopefully in more detail, because as you said, it was very much a cut to size, and there could have been a lot more done with it. Because I did suggest an idea of doing basically a supplement, but that never came around. So just despite the good sales. So again, I think they were. Actually, no, that was right. It was all to do with the lead time. Basically, at that point, they'd planned ahead for the next 2.5 years. So it's kind of like, well, okay, I can put a lot of time into something which may or may not turn up, and then I'll find out in 2.5 years whether they're going to do anything with it, or I can get on doing other projects and the magazine.
Yeah.
So that's the way it went, sadly.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be nice to see something more done. I mean, have you sort of considered, self-publishing?
Well, yes and no. I mean, the thing is I've always said to myself that, because again, you get an idea, you see people's ideas, you see how they put forward, you see how well self-publishing does, and you also see how well, basically going with a company goes. And currently, I've had this discussion with various authors who self-publish and also go with big companies. And so, I'm not convinced yet that self-publishing, I mean, if you could do it right and you could put the proper investment into it, then I think self-publishing would actually do very well for you. In fact, you'd end up in a situation like, for example, the Minister of Gentlemanly Warfare, or dare I say, the Two Fat Lardies, where you've basically got your own company. So, and also there's the Vice Swiss Press, which the Two Fat Lardies do, all of which are useful outlays. So, I do think it's there is profit in it, and if you can do it to a certain quality, then yes, it would be an ideal thing to do. So I do have lots of crazy ideas running out of my head. I guess the main thing for me has been time. My main bread and butter is still WSS,
Yeah.
so that comes first. And of course, with recent developments in my life, there's other things I need to sort out first before I think about writing. But yeah, I enjoyed it, and it is something I'd like to return to.
Excellent.
Well, I'm going to thank you for that insight into. Well, I'm not quite sure exactly a day in the life of an editor, but
I'm sure I could have talked a lot more, but if you let me rant, and I'll go for hours. So we're probably best calling it here. It's all good. And yeah, thank you both for inviting me on. It's been a real pleasure.
It's been great to chat, and so once again, many congratulations on 100 issues. It has been, and maybe see many more many more in the future. Great magazine, really enjoyable, and
thank you. Well,
thank you for the job you've been doing.
Cheers. Well, judging by ourselves, so you're going to see us for a lot longer, and I also hope to come back on the podcast in the future. We won't leave it 8 years like last time.
No, that'd be good, mate. It's been a while, isn't it? So
indeed.
Great. Okay, right. So we will leave it there, and we'll just come back and wrap up the show. So here we are at the back end of the podcast, and actually, on this particular recording, it is worthy of note that this is not going to be the last time we will be talking to Guy. In fact, you can hear us, well, hopefully hear some of us, relatively soon.
Yeah, because we're going to do a little interview with Guy for the WSS podcast.
Excellent. Thank you, Chairman.
We become guest presenters. Woohoo!
Yeah, very, very, very good. In fact, funny story, but when Angus sent me the mail saying we should talk to Guy, I thought he wanted Guy to come on this show. So I got it all arranged with Neil and Guy, and then realised that, no, Angus just wanted 20 minutes of material for WSS, so we're going to cover both of them.
Superb. Yeah. And besides, it's about time we had some quality talent on the WSS podcast.
I wouldn't go that far.
I couldn't possibly comment.
No.
I just want Angus to kill me, that's all.
Yeah.
WSS Podcast is worth adding to your playlist. Yeah, I'd say something a bit different, but different is good. And it's always worth a listen, always entertaining. So we're getting towards the end of the show, and as I say, normally at this point we turn around and say, right, okay, what's Dave been up to? I think Dave has been even more well behaved than you, Mr. Hobbs. Because I'm racking my brains at this point in time to think what has the Anti-Luff been up to? I do believe he has made use of our discount code at Firestorm Games, but I can't for the life of me remember what he bought. So,
well, I was going to say, if you listen to the advert, he has been locked away in their basement for the last few weeks.
Well, this is it. So
hopefully now he's escaped. He'll buy some more stuff.
He will be back to his former self before you know it. Yes, I hope so. As I say, this disturbing confession that he made before Christmas that, perhaps, just perhaps. Although having said that, we have been, although you're saying, okay, I think he's got enough board games. We've been talking a lot about, well, it's all Matt Slade's fault. Hello, Matt, but having, when we spent that weekend up with him in December, we played a game of, To the Strongest, using Matt's War of the Roses figures. War of the Roses is one of those periods that Mr. Hickman is interested in, and we were discussing a lot about, okay, yeah, we could do that, and we could do it in 6mm.
No.
However, and we thought, yeah, we do it in 6mm, that'd be great. And yeah, you could certainly do it in 6mm. Do it, nice little game to the strongest. However, we have been talking, and those Perry 28s are looking very nice.
They are indeed.
Mm.
And
Well, Neil, could I put a plea out at this point?
yes,
Dave, I know you listen to the show, mate. I'm going to speak quietly as a friend. But see, the thing is, Dave, we've got this little segment at the end, and it's a bit rubbish if you don't buy anything. So get off your arse. Go and buy 2 armies for War of the Roses. They look the same anyway. So just buy 1 big army and split into 2. Or even better, buy 2 big armies in 28mm, use the Perrys. You get it all painted by the time the Neils finishes Normans, and everybody be happy. Off you go, Dave. You know it makes sense. Back to you, Mr. Shuck.
thank you for that backhanded. I was doing so well on my Normans. There you go. Oh, you'll get Dave at the moment. Is the only person I know who's a slower painter than I am, which is saying something. Mind you, he's got distracted. He's been playing too much Outtro for the last few. I mean, it's like take your distraction with what is it? Baldur's Gate, and multiply it by 10, and you got the sort of thing he's been getting involved with Outtro. And I keep telling him, stop playing computer games. You're wasting precious painting time.
Indeed.
Yes. So there you go. So yes, yeah. I foresee lots of plastic Perry War of the Roses figures on the horizon.
Excellent.
Possibly. Excellent stuff. Anyway, so all that remains to be said is, first and foremost, thank you, Guy, for joining us. It's been great to chat.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Really enjoyed it, mate. Thank you so much. And
Cheers,
all the very best with the magazine and everything in the future. And yes, as you say, let's not leave it quite so long before we chat next time. It'd be good. Thank you to Mr. Hobbs. Thank you, sir.
Cheers,
Thank
Mike.
you, Neil. Thank you for the invite yet again.
You keep coming back.
Yeah.
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 And once again, guys, thank you very much for listening. Don't forget, visit our sponsors. Remember, Two Fat Lardies have a award-winning sale on some of their rule sets at the moment. And don't forget the extra discount code at Firestorm Games. Until next time, thank you for listening. Take care. Happy gaming. We'll speak to you soon.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Meeples and Miniatures podcast. If you've enjoyed the show, why not share it with others by leaving us a review on iTunes? And if you have any comments or questions, you can always email the show. The address is info@meeplesandminiatures.co.uk. And you can also visit our webpage, where you'll find a complete episode archive, all the View from the Veranda podcasts, rules reviews, and our blog of hobby items and news, which is updated several times a week. This is also where you'll find the links to our presence on social media. And here you can follow us on Twitter or join our Facebook group. And finally, here you can also find details should you wish to support us by making a donation to the podcast. All this on the Meeples and Miniatures website, www.meeplesandminiatures.co.uk. The Meeples and Miniatures podcast is licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives 3.0 Unported license. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.